Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of At Home with the Willises. I am Nicci Willis, and
I'm Jameen Willis.
today's topic is the rise of women's basketball, but still inequality. You're at home with the Willises. So before we get started, I want to remind you to make sure you are subscribed. Hit that button right down there. Also, make sure you hit the bell so that you are notified every time we upload new content. We've got some new content coming out.
We do.
I'm excited.
In different forms.
A
variety of forms.
A variety of forms.
Mm-hmm.
Take it. All right, guys. Let's dive into this topic. Mm-hmm. The WNBA, draft, right? The draft just took place not too long ago, and we all know that Caitlyn Clark was the big name.
Caitlyn Clark was the number one pick.
She was
one of the big names.
One of the big names. She was the number one pick. Yeah. Amongst others, Angel Reese. Yay. And then Camila Cardoso as well.
Yes.
Were among some of the names in the top draft picks.
Yeah, so the first round, any draft, there's like the first round, second round, third round. So the first round are usually like the best players, especially with women's basketball, because there's only 12 or 13 teams.
Yeah,
so
it's not a lot of them.
26 teams to go around. So definitely first round is like the cream of the crop.
Sure.
So like top
How many people are in the first round? How many picks do they get?
Well, if it's 12 or 13 teams, it's 12 people in the first round.
Oh, they don't get like two.
Sometimes they can trade. Like if you trade a player for a draft pick, you can do like, I don't think it was any in the first round, but the second round it was two in a row.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Mm-hmm. Okay,
because that was
my first WNBA draft I've ever watched.
Me too, absolutely, for sure.
There were a lot of firsts specifically women's basketball season. Mm-hmm. There's been there's just been a lot of firsts. Okay, but particularly in women's college football, the LSU game.
Basketball.
Oh, what did I say?
You said football.
Oh, women's basketball. The LSU game versus the Iowa. Mm-hmm. That was the most watched game, right? The most watched women's game in history, wasn't it?
Yeah. Is that the one where we watched when we were on the staycation?
No. No, we didn't watch that on staycation. We watched the Final Four on staycation.
That's right.
That was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Speaking of staycations, listen, staycations are where it's at. Especially if you are married, your parents, you work together.
Well, if you live in Little Rock, Arizona, it may not be.
No, a staycation can be anything. That's a different topic for a different day. But staycations are where it's at. And we can talk about our staycation that we had, or did we? Chad, we didn't have so many episodes.
A little bit, not a whole lot.
Anyway, but yeah, we watched the Final Four while we were on staycation, and those were. I mean, you had people tuned in. We just went to like a little bar, and just kind of vegged out and watched UConn play. Who was that?
UConn.
Yeah.
They played the Carolina.
And lost. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. I'm still getting used to all the names and teams. Okay. Anyway, we want to talk about it because the WNBA is blowing up. Women's basketball is blowing up.
So let's talk
but not so much the pockets.
That's true. But there's hope for the future. So
all right, let's go.
As far as the draft, it was a record of 2.45 million viewers tuned into the 2024 WNBA draft on ESPN.
Okay.
So that demolished the previous record. Mm-hmm. Now we gotta say why. So basically, Caitlyn Clark went first. She was first in the draft, and basically, as far as women's basketball is concerned, it's almost like when LeBron James went to the NBA. So like the highest, pick, the most hype and things like that.
Yeah.
So the closest comparison, I'm not saying she's gonna be like she could be maybe like the LeBron James of WNBA, but the closest thing that we can compare it to is when LeBron James was going to the NBA. So Caitlyn Clark was first in the draft, and then actually Angel Reese was only like
second.
seventh.
I was shocked.
No, she was like seventh because
Why?
teams pick players who they have a need for. So, like the Aces, they wouldn't need Angel Reese, so she wouldn't have been picked first because we have, we have somebody in that position that's really good already. So
that was making me nervous.
What?
I was nervous because Angel wasn't picked for at least second.
Well, they always have projections, and she wasn't projected to go first.
Well,
definitely
I know
top
not
10,
first, but
not top 10. I
was
mean, definitely
number
top
8.
10, but she was 7.
She was 7? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Camila Cardoso ended up getting drafted on this same team.
Yeah.
Angel Reese.
She got drafted. She was number 3.
Yeah.
And then and Chicago Sky picked her up, and then the Chicago Sky picked up Angel Reese. Caitlyn Clark is going to Indiana.
Fever. Yeah.
The Indiana Fever.
Yeah.
Those tickets are going to be crazy.
Yeah, they have already gone up. So if you don't know, we are season ticket holders of the
best team,
the Las Vegas
in
Aces.
in the league.
Yeah. So last year the Fever, those were kind of like throwaway tickets. Like, oh, you want to go to the WNBA game, but now super duper high demand.
Are they? Because so some of the games that the Aces are playing have been moved. Okay, because we got to give everybody the backstory. Mm-hmm. So the home court for the Aces is the Michelob Arena. Yeah. Michelob Arena is in Mandalay Bay. It seats about 10,000. Well, some of the games have now been moved to the T-Mobile Arena, which now seats what?
I don't do my research. Keep talking. I'm gonna look it up.
A lot more. And I think that in the Indiana Fever game has been moved over to the T-Mobile Arena. We are not giving up those tickets. We're going. I'm trying to go to all the games. But
Lies.
I really am.
I be forgetting the weekend games. Those would be like the most. I get the weekday games.
Yeah.
But the weekend games, some of those I was like, oh shoot, it was a home game today. I didn't know. So T-Mobile Arena seats 20,000.
There we go. So double the amount of tickets.
Well, the Fever is a big game because one, the Aces won back-to-back championships. And then people want to come see Caitlyn Clark.
Yep.
So as you know, it's called the Vegas effect. People don't come just to go to the game. Yeah. They come and do everything else when they come see the game. So they go into the restaurants. They go into the casino. Mm-hmm. They go into shows. So it's a bigger draw. So it's like, oh, yeah, I definitely want to go see Caitlyn play in Las Vegas because we get to do this, this, and this in addition to going to the games. Mm-hmm. So those prices definitely have gone up. Look it up. And the great thing I like is when you have season tickets, they give you comparable seats, even when it's in T-Mobile. Oh, so they have like the Commissioner's Cup or something specific. It's like 3 or 4 games where they play at T-Mobile. But they give you comparable seats because that was my concern. It's like, oh man, y'all gonna give me trash seats because I'm a season ticket holder. But the seats were almost in the same like spot, even in T-Mobile. So I thought that was dope that they did comparable seats. Yeah. For that. Okay, I'm trying to see. So on the this is StubHub. I want to go to the actual where they're actually playing different people, but let me go back though. Because we're talking about the draft. Mm-hmm. So 2.45 million viewers for the WNBA draft. To put this in perspective, last year, 2023, it was less than 1 million for sure. Just honestly, just a little over 500,000 people were watching. Yeah. So 4 times as many people watched this time. That's incredible. I know I was tuned in. I definitely was. Jonathan was watching. And so
what people have desired for, women's sports and things like that is really starting to take place. But it's burning me up about how much people are getting paid.
Yeah, so we can talk about the disparity in pay, and we're gonna talk about the hope for the future, because there is hope for the future.
Okay.
But we can talk about the disparity in pay, because although there's all this hype about Caitlyn Clark and things like that, so Caitlyn Clark is set to make $78,000. That's her salary as a WNBA player. She was the number one pick overall. I think the total of her contract was like, it was like
200 something,
300 something thousand,
yeah.
over a certain amount of years, and it goes up a little bit every year. But her salary as the number one overall pick was 137 times less than the NBA's number one overall pick, who will earn about $10.5 million per year. So to put it into perspective, the number one pick for WNBA, 78 grand versus 10.5 million. So that's a huge.
Well, versus 10.5 million over what?
1 year.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
That's a huge disparity. Like,
that's a huge disparity.
Pennies on the. You know what?
Well, when you look at, but you got to look at why. I mean, definitely there's a lot just pure inequality going on. But you have to look at why. Like we just did the viewership. You talked about less than 1 million.
That's less than 1%.
Jumping up to 2.4. So, it's based upon revenue. So if you wonder why the disparity is so big, it's based upon revenue. Now it's like you can't get revenue because when the Aces were away. Yes. I got season tickets, so I get to go to the home games. But when the Aces are away, I got to scan through and try to find them on what station is it on. So that's
by the
one
way,
of the
on
reasons
on the team's website, they now put where it's being broadcasted.
Yeah, shown on there.
Yeah. They have
in some stations you got to have like the old rabbit ears with the Reynolds wrap on it to find the station that
they weren't
about.
The best. It was like high school basketball team.
ESPN 13.5.
Yeah.
Plus.
Plus. Yeah, it wasn't the best. I will say that. But I think now, you've got, I will say this, because I'm seeing like WNBA League Pass. I guess you could buy a League Pass. Some games are on ESPN. Some games are on Amazon Prime. Some games are on Ion. Some games are on NBA TV. So they're kind of sprinkled throughout. ABC, let's see, the opening home game against the Phoenix Mercury is going to be on ESPN2. That's May 14th. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So let's go over some of the disparities in pay.
Let's do it.
So
I need to get this off my chest.
Let's see. Speaking of Las Vegas, Las Vegas Aces, 2-time WNBA champion, and you met her in person.
I did
at the airport.
We were on the same plane together.
The same plane.
Yes, and I said, Jackie.
Now, I love you, babe. I love you, but that just shows the disparity that you on the same.
True. We were.
Anyways, that's not the point. Jackie Young.
Nothing wrong with Coach, but we were definitely both back there.
Jackie Young of the Aces leads the charge as the highest paid WNBA player. So Young earns $252,000 annually after signing a 2-year, $504,000 contract extension with the Aces. So that's actually the highest paid WNBA player. Now, I just Googled the highest paid NBA player.
Okay.
The highest paid NBA player coming in at $51,945,000. That's per year. Is
per year?
Yeah, so he's in the second year of a 4-year, $215 million contract. Is the Splash Brother Steph Curry, Wardell.
That's
Steph
crazy.
Curry of the Golden State Warriors. So he gets paid $51 million per year versus 252,000. So that's a huge disparity.
That's ridiculous.
Now,
and
to
kudos
put
to
that,
Steph, all the things.
but you look at the jersey sales. Steph has his own shoe.
Wait, but speaking of
Under
jersey
Armour.
sales, I heard Kelsey Plum say that they don't get money from their jersey sales. That's what I heard. I heard her
They
say it
may
on the
not
podcast.
because they get paid from the. They get paid. They're part of the basically they get like a subsidy from the NBA, and there's like a collective bargaining agreement on there. But also, you can't. It's hard to find WNBA players jerseys because I wanted the Aces hat.
Yeah.
That was like camo, and I couldn't
Couldn't
go in
find
like Liz where I could go buy like Yankees or something like that. I couldn't. You can't go into a regular store, so you got like the Aces practice facility. They have the store where you can go in. I mean, you can go online, but it's not like readily available where you can go into a Liz and just pick up a WNBA.
And that should change.
Yeah, like we got your
Like,
jerseys
why
from
not?
like Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah.
So Asia Wilson was
Love my
in there.
jersey. I want more though. I want more gear. I definitely want more gear.
So I think they have to do the availability. So in order to get more viewers, it has to be on more channels. For merch, it has to be in.
But put us on. Don't just be putting us
more
on
stores.
Sports Plus 0.5 channels. Like, come on.
Well, we're gonna talk about some of the disparities and the differences of how it's not fair. But like it or not, the whole thing of Caitlyn Clark, whether you like her or not, or why is this person getting favoritism, she's lifting the popularity of the sport, and she's also is helping the WNBA as a whole because now the Indiana Fever is like went from not being on TV basically at all to their own TV and their own more prominent channels. But the disparity in pay is like that's
crazy.
Like crazy because and that's why a lot of the players have to take huge risks like what's the old girl named Brittany Griner.
Yep.
So they
that's
don't
how
make
she
a
ended
lot
up
of
in
money.
Russia.
Yeah, so they don't make a lot of money during their regular season. So if they don't get endorsement deals and things like that, they gotta go overseas, risk possibly getting injured or hurt or being away from family to make some extra bread in not a summer league, but I guess that for WNBA would be like winter,
season.
fall, winter. Yeah,
They're
fall, winter.
gone. And that was the thing. Jackie Young had just won the championship. They had just won their first championship like a week before that. And here we are on the same plane because she was headed overseas.
Yeah.
That's what was going on. And I was upset. They worked so hard. And now today they're back-to-back champs.
She just wanted to have a little.
Oh, Brittany
Yeah, she
Griner?
just wanted to have a
You
little
don't know what she.
super weed,
I don't know what she had on her and all the things. Whatever, it broke their rules in that country, and that landed her in prison. And she was about to be in there for a while until I guess the Biden administration got her out.
That's true. They did. I don't think he gets enough credit for
that.
That's probably the. We'll say. I won't do it today. But shout out to President Biden for contributing to getting Brittany.
To get her out. Because she didn't deserve to be in there that long. They cut her dreads. Like, I can't imagine the things that she went through.
Locks, you're supposed to say.
Or they cut her locks. Thank you. Thank you very much. I can't imagine, though, seriously, what she went through. All to just make ends meet. Like, make a living. Doing something that you love.
It kind of sucks because you doing something that you love, but you don't get paid a whole lot of money for it.
You're a professional.
Some people was joking saying that like a registered nurse or something. They said, "Man, you should come home and throw these scrubs on."
Right. Listen. See, now look, people take a pity on you in other industries because you're supposed to be, this a professional sports player and still not getting paid what you're worth. This happened in soccer as well.
Yeah.
Women's soccer team is one of the U.S. women's soccer team. They are one of the baddest teams you ever want to see in any industry. In any industry. And they barely get paid livable wages over there.
I think they get paid like women's soccer players. I was looking it up when Nia was still playing soccer. I think it was like 35 grand.
Yeah, 35,000. I mean, horrible. The men get paid more, and they don't even win like that. Sorry if you on the team and you watching this. Sorry, but do better. That's all I'm saying. Do better. But the women's soccer team, I'm talking about, they're bringing championships. They're doing all the things, beating the brakes off these other countries and barely getting paid livable wages. Their star players are getting paid like $74,000, $70,000. You know what I'm saying? That's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I think that's wild. I think they need to do a better job of marketing so they can get more revenue in.
And I mean, I get it. Like, I understand. It'll never be, a Steph Curry wage. I get that. But there is money out there. And if you market it properly and all the things, there's money to be made.
Yeah.
There really, really is. And I don't feel like, especially our women, should have to be, put in a position. I'm not going to say forced or anything like that, but put in a position to where they have to, like you said, travel to another country, playoff season, put themselves at risk of injury and all other things just to make, a livable wage when they work just as hard, if not harder, as other athletes.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all I got to say. But if we're talking about other athletes, though, I kind of got a bone to pick here.
Okay.
Now hear me out, okay? Mm-hmm. Now I'm all for like women's sports and all the things, but it has now come to everybody's attention as to what's going on with Caitlyn Clark. Getting signed, her Nike deal.
Yeah.
And then A'ja Wilson, MVP, back-to-back champ, Las Vegas Aces. People started kind of coming in and really kind of talking on her behalf about her not having a deal. And A'ja responded, just because y'all don't see it, that means something's not happening in the background. Which shout out to A'ja for that. I love, when they go low, we go high.
I thought she had a shoe deal because I remember looking on her
not
Instagram.
Like that though.
I would see
how much is the deal?
Caitlyn Clark is set to sign a new Nike deal valued at $28 million over 8 years, reports say. And not only Caitlyn Clark, 3 other WNBA players that were non-black got shoe deals with Nike, but no A'ja Wilson.
Okay, so we got to talk about it. You said Caitlyn Clark, $28 million over the next 8 years. Okay, you've got a few other women that are non-black. We've got to do better.
Yeah,
I'll say it that way. We got to do better. And here's my thing. Caitlyn Clark hasn't touched a WNBA basketball yet. Mm-hmm. She has not played 1 second on a WNBA court.
Yeah.
I 100% want to see this Indiana Fever game, because the LV Aces are some dogs.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they run circles around people. Mm-hmm. I love watching them play. And you are, let's put it out there, you're a rookie. You haven't even touched a ball yet.
Yeah.
And you're getting signed over someone like A'ja Wilson or a Chelsea Gray or Kelsey Plum. Mm-hmm. Like, come on. I'm flabbergasted by that. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, so
I'm flabbergasted.
that's part of it, but also part of it is, you can look at
Y'all comment below. I can take it.
You can look at the progress. So Asia Wilson, she signed a 2-year, $398,000 contract with the Aces, and she got basically all of that money guaranteed.
Okay.
So her annual average salary is $199,000. So
okay.
Jackie Young is like Asia Wilson's like little sister.
Yes.
Okay. So she came into the league later than Asia Wilson. So Asia
Okay.
Wilson has been in the league. She's considered as like the vet, like the top player in the WNBA.
Yeah.
So some of it is you're seeing the progress. So Jackie Young got more than Asia Wilson, and Asia Wilson is basically the face of the WNBA.
Yeah.
And Caitlyn Clark got more. She really didn't get that much because rookie salaries are really low. So Caitlyn Clark only got $78,000 per year.
Yeah.
But all the extra stuff. Now they can make up for that because like Asia Wilson got a book deal. She has a book. She has stuff like Gatorade and stuff like that. So
She's got
they
Ruffles.
can.
Remember, she was on the Ruffles.
Yeah, so they definitely can make
Mountain
extra
Dew.
money. And Asia Wilson, I believe, if I'm not wrong, she was before the NIL deals. So Caitlyn Clark got money from Gatorade.
That is true.
Um,
When did NIL deal start? It
just a few
just a few
years.
years
It's only
ago.
a couple years old. So
that's
to be fair, so Caitlyn Clark, she got about $3 million in NIL money when she was still in college at Iowa. So she State Farm, Gatorade, and others. So you know, it's just like listening to
Angel Reese got some good sponsors too.
God bless the dead, like OJ, like they didn't get no older players like Reggie Bush and stuff like that. They didn't get no NIL money in college. They was like starving. They didn't have money to eat when they were in college. Now these players are getting
They're doing all right.
$3 million, $5 million NIL deals. So that kind of contributes to the disparity in the pay too. But as far as Asia Wilson is like the face of the WNBA, so I think out of all people, she should probably have a shoe deal. But it's so much hype, just like
I'm sure
just like
she
LeBron
will.
got a shoe before he got and did anything in the
before he
NBA.
touched
So.
anything.
So yeah, they need to do better, but it's showing you like the progress. But there were some other players that were a little less known that got shoe deals with Nike.
A lot less known. Okay.
That probably shouldn't
talking mess now.
haven't gotten deals over.
But again, is just because we don't see it right now doesn't mean that it's not in the works.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
we'll just keep watching. We'll just keep
Yeah.
our eye on it. I just, I am a fierce defender for my LV Aces.
You know, I'm a fierce defender of that Asia Wilson
We know.
too. So
We know. Look, Asia, we love you. He loves you over here.
So even Caitlyn Clark, she's the most anticipated prospect in league history. They were saying that she'll have some adjustments to be made moving forward to the WNBA because there's shooting range, passing acumen, court vision. That stuff will translate, but she'll need to adjust to the physical nature. Like when she had when she faced that defense of the Las Vegas Aces.
Oh,
it's gonna
she's
be
gonna
a little bit different ball
get the
game.
taste knocked out of her.
Yeah, so I think the WNBA and women's sports are making great strides to increase the income, but it's a big disparity in pay for sure.
Yeah.
But some of it just attributes to how many people view the games and things like that, how many people have the ability to go in and buy merch. And so I think they're making a lot of progress, but I would say in the next 3, not even 5 years, I would probably say in the next 3 years, especially if Caitlyn goes into the NBA, Angel Reese and all the players from Carolina, they do well. I would say the next 3 years, the WNBA will look a lot different than it does right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I like to go by the thought that a rising tide lifts all boats. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see these women all make it.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the cherry picking, which I think is controlled a lot by the media, is that is detrimental for what we all truly want to see as fans. And cheers to Caitlyn Clark. Like, I'm happy for her and everything, but some of these other women that have truly paved the way for someone like Caitlyn Clark, I want to see them win too.
Yeah.
In huge numbers, in huge ways. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. She better give a shout out to them too. I'm just saying, give them their props, give them shout outs, all the things. I want to see it. That's all I'm saying. It's a respect thing. It's a respect thing.
I think the vets don't get a lot of the respect that they may deserve, but it is definitely getting better. So that's a little bit separate. So there is hope for the future. So I want to go over a few things as far as hope for the future and why I say probably in the next 3 years it will look totally different. So right now, the WNBA has been in the current TV deal that they're in, whether it's Silver State Network or whatever they're on, but that's ending. So there's a collective bargaining agreement where they renegotiate a TV deal. So that'll be a new TV deal, either with the same networks or different networks. So
That's
when
good.
they renegotiate those TV deals, that can contribute to players getting paid more money. The second thing is ticket prices are going up.
They are.
Thank God we had season tickets and we was able to renew them.
Yeah.
But ticket prices are going up. Tickets are actually selling out. Well, at least
the
Las
season
Vegas
tickets
Aces.
for Las Vegas Aces are sold out completely.
Yeah.
That's another first.
Yeah, that's true.
That's another first. So shout out to the Aces once again. We gotta have them at the house.
Yeah.
We gotta get the Aces at the house. Let's make it happen. Would y'all like to see that? Put it in the comments below if you want to see the Aces come to the Willis house. Okay, go ahead.
Definitely. So ticket prices are going up. Like, you could get tickets for like $30. Like, when we first started going to the games, like, you could get decent seats for like, $20-$30.
Child, we been
Shoot, they even had like little fundraisers, like for little league games.
Yeah.
They would have fundraisers and things like that. So as ticket prices go up and more people go to the games, that's how owners make money.
Yeah.
So people actually going to the games, especially like with people that are not as good as like the Aces.
Yeah.
So when they draft players that are good to get more viewers, they'll be able to pay players even more. And then when the Aces play teams that are good, more people want to come to even the Aces game. And like we talked about the Las Vegas effect, that's why they had to move it to the T-Mobile Arena. Yeah. So the future looks hopeful for WNBA players and just women's basketball, period, because now they raised the bar a lot because I only watched maybe 1 or 2 of the men's March Madness, but I watched probably
most people do
at least 4 to 5 games of the women's basketball. So not just WNBA, but women's basketball in general.
Yeah.
Is definitely on the rise because even like Angel Reese got drafted, but she still had Flage. She's still there. So
I can't wait to see her be a star next year.
Yeah, so I think the future looks hopeful with the ticket prices, TV deals, and things like that. The future looks brighter for women's basketball.
I'm just saying, it's hard. It's hard being a woman. It's hard because even on a professional level, professional sports level, we still see the struggle. Like, we still see the pennies on the dollar in this instant, where you're talking, Caitlyn Clark, #1 draft pick, getting paid less than 1% of what Steph Curry earns in a year.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about all industries. I'm thinking about nurses, in the medical field. I'm thinking about teachers. I'm thinking about people in corporate America or women in corporate America that have worked so hard to break through the glass ceiling. And, they still get asked questions about, are you going to start a family or are you going to get married? And being paid literally like, For Black women, it's like 46 cents on every dollar. 46 cents on every dollar for black women. I think it's 52 cents for white women on the dollar.
Yeah, that's wild.
And so it's not just, hear me out, it's not just particularly for the sports industry, it's for all industries. That, you know, the great thing about being a diverse organization is that you have men and women. It is that you have people of all races, of all different backgrounds and all the things. But when you don't value them, you know, when you don't value that diversity, and it's a slap in the face. And now it hurts your organization. It continues to hurt the industry. And most importantly, it hurts the person whom you are paying, you know, less for.
Yeah.
It is a slap in the face to have gone this far, to have earned the degrees, to have the certificates, to have the continuing education, to have the experience as someone else, if not more, and still be paid pennies on the dollar, to be paid half the amount of money that your counterpart has.
Yeah.
And for some of us, raising children, being married. You know, we still have, a lot of us still have homes that we have to go home and take care of.
Yeah.
You know, being a parent is a full-time job. You know this. And being a mom, we know is ultimately the ultimate full-time job. And so we have to do better. We have to do better as a society, valuing the diversity. And the number one way to do that, it is not a coffee mug. It is not a watch. It is not a pat on the back. It's not even a vacation. Pay people what they're worth. Truly.
Yeah.
All this greatness that's coming in, people need to see that on the paycheck side. They need to see that in endorsement deals. They need to see that on the paycheck side. They need to see that in being promoted. All these things, they need to see it. It's a slap in the face when, you know, you're hiring diversity, but you're not paying.
Yeah.
You're not paying for it.
Do you think that the disparity in pay in women is kind of like similar or comparable to like for, you know, until like the 50s or the early 60s, black people couldn't vote or black people couldn't own a home or be eligible for a GI Bill, so it's like behind. And
we're still far behind.
Then women during the industrial revolution of working in factories and stuff, typically
because our men went off to war. And we went to work.
Or went to go work in the factory, and that was the time period where women were more expected to be at home, you know, being a homemaker or, you know, at home with the kids and things like that. So women are women wasn't allowed to vote either for certain. So it's a time thing. So you think that's a lot of things. I mean, if there's always like racism and sexism and things like that, but you think it's comparable to like color?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, as a black woman, yes, it's what we call a double whammy. It's always, you know, we're fighting. I'm aware of the fact that I am a black woman, and there are things that come against me as a black person. But I also know that there are things that I am a woman, and there are things that come against me just because that I am a woman. You know, people question the amount of experience that I have, or the degrees that I have, or you know, if I know as much as I know, you know, in whatever industry I'm in, because I've been in a few. So, yes, we've made strides, and I want to stay positive, but I also want to challenge those who are in leadership, those who are in position to truly make changes and make a difference, those who determine who gets paid what. And you know who you are, especially if you hire people. If you are responsible for the budget, imagine how much more powerful your organization can be when you're paying people what they're worth.
Invest in women.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you invest in women, it's incredible.
Wow.
We bring so much to the table. We bring such a diverse perspective to the table. Mm-hmm. And for so long, we were kept out of boardrooms and kept out of decision-making rooms. I love people like Shirley Chisholm, who said, I'm just going to bring my seat to the table.
I got to watch the movie.
We do need to watch that.
I was going to watch it last night, but I got a little weary.
Yeah.
We
can watch it tonight, though.
So I believe in investing in women because, like, my goal in life is to be out there in the backyard. You know what I'm saying? Watching WNBA.
That's
you kill it because you're
not even the
making
point.
all the money. It is the point for me. I'm watching the WNBA. I'm grilling steaks.
Hey, as long as it's warm when I get home or hot when I get home, that's
life
wonderful,
is good.
Honestly.
You see what I'm saying?
But we talk about this all the time. When one of the kids has a question, 99 times out of 100, who are they gonna ask? They're gonna ask me. It doesn't matter what I am doing. I could be in the middle of a conference call and my son will come down and be like, "Mom, what's for dinner?" Like, I'm still working. I still have to, do the things. A lot of us have to come home, bring our work home, and still run the household, still be parents and all the things. Mm-hmm. So it bothers me to know that more truly can be done. And I've been in these boardrooms. Let's be clear. I'm not talking about things that I don't know. I'm not talking about things that I haven't experienced and things that I have not sat in rooms and heard myself, where you have people in position that just won't. Mm-hmm. They just won't. Yeah. For whatever reason, they just won't. And if you, what I'm saying is, if you are in a position to pay, especially women, what they're worth, do it. Invest in women. Yes, we're different. We're women. Mm-hmm. Yes, we are moms. Yes, we bear children. Yes, we need different types of time off and things like that for our kids, but that doesn't make us any less valuable.
Yeah.
There was somebody on the Las Vegas Aces that was pregnant playing. She was pregnant. I think she now has been moved over to LA, but she was pregnant. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I believe she announced it right before or right after their first championship. And, that's not something that a man can do. Mm-hmm. Nobody has ever, let's be honest, nobody in the NBA has ever been on their cycle during a championship. Mm-hmm. I can guarantee you somebody on the LVAs was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to go through so much, and we still get out there and kill it. Mm-hmm. We still get out there and show up every day. And you don't want to pay us what we're worth?
Invest in women.
Invest in women. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now.
All right, let's get into some current events.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So this is concerning, and it's very actually scary. So I found this topic, and actually one of my relatives called me back in Ohio, and he asked me have I ever heard of this, and he sent me the link. So apparently there's some people on TikTok that are not in a good way. They're basically telling people how to commit mortgage fraud, not mortgage fraud, deed fraud, and basically stealing people's houses. So there was a couple that had paid their house off, and they were in their 70s, and somebody committed deed fraud and basically stole their house from them, called the police, and the police actually set the people's stuff outside. The husband was an older gentleman, didn't want to leave, and he actually ended up getting arrested
out of their own
and
home.
Put in jail out of their own home. And the wife had to figure out some kind of way to get their stuff off of the front line. And so
So they sided with the people that committed the fraud.
Yeah, they sided with the people that committed the fraud, and we'll get into it in just a second. But basically, if the police can't prove that the deed, whatever they present, saying that they have ownership of the house, is fraudulent, they can't be like, oh no, this is fake, move out. So another case, I was like, dang, that's crazy. So when my cousin called me and he said that one of his clients bought a property in Dayton, Ohio, and they're targeting like smaller cities or cities that are a little bit behind, but this is going on all over the place in like Florida, Ohio, all over the place, but they hit the smaller towns because sometimes they're a little bit further behind on things. But my cousin's client bought a property in Dayton, Ohio, and he paid cash for it. So they're targeting properties that's paid off or don't have a mortgage on them.
Okay.
And so what happens is a lot of people don't notice, if you don't use a title company, you can go to the recorder's office, and if you have a deed that's prepared, you can pay to have the deed recorded and the conveyance fee. And they don't ask for your driver's license or identification. If you got a deed prepared and somebody signed off on the deed, so basically these people on TikToks are telling people what to do. So you basically take somebody,
They need to go to jail.
you prepare a deed, and then you got all these like mobile notaries that get paid like $10 to notarize something.
Yeah.
They paying the notaries off to notarize, so they'll forge the person's name. Prepare a
Which
new
is
deed.
interesting because you have to present your ID to a notary.
Yeah, but if a notary is normally getting paid $10 to notarize something, they paying them $1,000 or $2,000 because they stealing the whole house and they getting mortgages on it or selling the property to somebody else. So they get a notarized deed to switch the deed over, and then they put the deed in whatever name they want to. Go get the deed recorded, and they basically stole somebody's house, whether they in there or not.
Oh my God.
So this happened to an older couple. This happened to a personal situation. Not somebody that I know, but somebody I personally knew. It happened to one of his clients. And he had to prove that he was the owner of the house. And so he lived in Cincinnati, and he drove to go check on the house. And he said that the locks was changed.
Oh my God.
So one time he went there and the locks was changed, and he got the locks changed. Like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
And then there was some people moving into his house. He went over there to start doing some work with some people moving into his house.
That's awful.
And so he had to go and fight to get his house back.
I'm curious. I'm sorry. And I don't know if you know this or not, but there are things that have to be inked, right? Like an ink signature. They can't look at the signatures in this instance. Things have to be inked.
See, what happens is,
I don't understand
when
this.
when you deal with, like, a lot of times when government things, as long the recorder's office don't care, as long as you pay that transfer fee and pay the recording of the deed, they not going back to check and see if your signature matches with the original thing, or you could have aged, or you could have changed your signature. Your signature is not the same. So somebody notarizes the doc, you pay somebody off to prepare the deed, and once you sign the deed over, just like a title to a car. I remember back in the day, I used to keep my title to my first car I bought in my glove compartment. My grandfather was like, get your title out your truck, because somebody could just sign the title and then it's theirs. It's the same thing.
Wow.
So if you get a deed notarized, deeding it over to somebody else, you just go record that, and you basically stole somebody's house. So I was like, dang, is this really a thing? And so I looked up Bigger Pockets, and Bigger Pockets is like a huge platform. One of the hosts of Bigger Pockets, somebody committed fraud in like Florida, some investment properties that he had, and it was like 50 doors. And this dude stole. Now, this one was a little bit different. He created a fraudulent operating agreement on his LLC, saying that he was authorized to sign off on the properties. And so he started trying to knocked on the people's doors and was trying to collect rent on the properties. So then the dude, David Green, is the host of Bigger Pockets podcast. He was trying to contact the tenants like, hey, do not give this guy no money or whatever. So the tenants didn't want to be involved in it, so he tended to start mass
Moving out.
exiting out of the
Moving out.
properties.
Yeah. Now
Then
you're
he
losing
started
money
having
everywhere.
vacancies and squatters
Oh.
and all this stuff in his properties, and it became such a big problem that he ended up selling the portfolio off to like a hedge fund because it was such a big headache, because this was somewhere in some little small town in Florida.
Yeah.
He had to prove that he was the owner or something
50
fraudulent
doors.
was done, like 50 doors.
That's
And so he just
insane.
got tired of dealing with the situation. He said it was like, squatters and prostitution going on in these properties. It became a huge problem. But I would start thinking that, yes, this is actually true, because back right after the real estate mortgage collapse, you remember when I was buying them little pieces of land in Cincinnati?
Yeah.
So I was buying little cheap pieces of land from the bank. It was bank-owned
Right.
property where they demolished the house.
Sure.
$200,
Yeah.
$500.
Super cheap.
I knock on the neighbor's door and say, hey, you want to increase your lot? Sell it to them for $1,500.
Yeah.
So to keep my costs down, because I wasn't a lot of profit on there, that's what I was doing. I was having a title company, because I was the owner. I had a title company, prepared the deed. They had a notary, and then they would give that to me, and I would go to the recorder's office and say, hey, I'm selling this property, blah, 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 for $1,500.
Yeah.
I would pay that recording fee, and I start thinking, no, they never asked me for my ID.
Yeah.
So TikTok, social media things can spread like wildfire, and people was like actually
Committing
like losing their
deed
homes.
fraud all over the place.
Yeah, so this is like that's
use
crazy.
social media for good, not evil, guys.
Yeah,
That's all I'm asking. Use it for good and not evil.
So I started looking on these stories on here, and this is something that's been going on. But a lot of times, the main thing is they hit people that don't have a mortgage on their property, because then you can go refinance and put a mortgage on a property, or sell the house to somebody else for cheap. They're like, "Ooh, this is a deal." Of course, because you committed deed fraud and got the house for free, and then they hit in smaller towns, but the smaller towns are kind of, you got one person, recording the deed. She ain't doing a bunch of hoops of trying to, check things that are going on. So yeah, this is wild. Like I started thinking like, dang, they're actually stealing people's houses. You would think in 2024,
Yeah.
there would
So
be some different way of doing this.
So here, we're in a major city. We're in Las Vegas. We do homeowners title insurance, title policy insurance. That's even in the contract. So when we sign a house, you have to have homeowners. The seller has to have title policy insurance, and the buyer has to have title policy insurance. Does that protect people?
So this is getting so wild and popular now.
I would think that would protect.
I actually called the title company, the escrow company that we use, and I was like, I started thinking about when I was doing the properties, and I was like, no, they never checked for my ID. So I called the escrow company, and she was like, yeah, it's actually an issue. So the biggest recommendation that we can give is actually use a title company or escrow company when you're doing a transaction.
Okay.
Yes, it may cost you a couple $100.
Sure.
And also, it's the flip side. You don't want to be buying a house that somebody committed deed fraud
on, yes.
and now
When
you
they
losing
run
the
that
house that
deed,
you thought that you
that deed
bought.
search,
So
yes.
the biggest advice that I can give you is use a title company. Yes, it may cost you a little bit of money, but they have like a 2-step verification. So when you go to buy a house and you use a title company, the first thing they do is ask for your driver's license.
Of course.
And they have
make a copy of it.
Yeah. And they have that Patriot Act thing, and they don't notarize nothing unless they have your and then title companies make millions of dollars or make good money. They're not going to do nothing fraudulent, risk losing their license. So the biggest advice I can give you is use a title company or escrow company when you're selling or buying a property. So there's a separate insurance policy that you can get that will protect you from this. It's different than a title policy. It's a homeowner's policy of title insurance that you can get now because this is going on. So the only true protection against title theft is through a specific type of policy, and it's offered by any major insurers, called a homeowner's policy of title insurance, different than title. Title insurance insures like defects, and it only covers the price of the house that you purchase.
Okay.
So it only goes up to the amount of the house that you purchase. So if you got a good deal on the house, it only covers the amount that you paid for it. There's also paid services that have like monitoring. So if your D switches or something, you can put it on there so you can get an alert. So they don't prevent the crime from happening in the first place. So you find out after the fact,
That's
but
true.
at least you can,
That's what I was gonna
catch
say.
something early.
Okay. Because here in Clark County, if you go to the Clark County Recorder, just Google it. Here in Clark County, you can register your address. And anytime something is recorded against your address, it will send you a notification.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's after the fact.
After the fact.
So, but that is one way that you could at least know that something is happening versus not knowing for months and months and even years that someone done something and possibly stolen your property.
Yeah, it's after the fact. So it says once a phony title is filed, the only way to resolve the issue is through a lawsuit to establish true ownership. So that typically requires hiring an attorney. There's attorney fees, ideally one who specializes in real estate law. So that's like
wild.
Wow. It's just it's crazy that like how like government stuff is be like so behind. We got AI and all this technology,
but y'all can't figure out how a homeowner can get their
green and all this stuff,
their mortgage or their deed stolen right from under their noses.
Yeah, so
that bothers me.
The scary part is the knowledge of how to do this type of fraud is on like social media. So people know like how to do it.
Yeah.
So this is like a red flag to something that's been raised, and they do have something, but it takes a while to get something passed through, the government and things like that. So I just thought that was very wow. So 3 things: use a title company. Second thing is you can register your address if something is filed. And the third thing is you can get a specific type of insurance. It costs you a little bit more money, but it's the world that we live in. You know what I mean? You got to protect yourself against crazy things like this. But it's more in smaller towns, but the recording process is basically the same all over. So yeah.
Interesting.
That was a wild.
That's wild. That is wild.
That was a wild topic.
All right, guys. Well, we're still in the real estate vein, so let's head right on into your real estate minute of the day. Now, here in the Willis house and with the Willis team, we always talk about your ideal home, not your dream home, but your ideal home. And I've got 8 questions that you should ask yourself when thinking about your ideal home. All right. So question number 1 needs to be, who's going to be living in the house? All right. So you need to make a list of all the adults, all the children, and all the pets that will be living in your home. Question number 2, what are the non-negotiables for your home? I want you to list them all, okay? Then question number 3 is take all those non-negotiables and choose your top 5. What are your top 5 non-negotiables? Again, because we're trying to get from the dream home down to your ideal home. We're trying to make you homeowners, okay? Question number 4, beyond your top 5 needs, what is something that you really want? Okay. Question number 5, do you have a preference for the year your home was built, or a preference for the year of your range of years that the home was built? Do you want a newer home? Maybe you don't mind a home that's a little bit older, that's got some character. Also, question number 6, do you want a house that is move-in ready, or do you want a house that maybe needs some work done to it? And work, I mean maybe changing the flooring or doing some paint, versus something that's move-in ready. Well, all you have to do is just start moving that furniture right on in. Question number 7, when people visit your home, what do you want it to say about you? When people visit your home, what do you want your home to say about you? And finally, question number 8. Are there any specific features that you would want to make your next house feel to feel instantly at home? All right, those are your top 8 questions to ask when you're thinking about your ideal home. And that is your real estate minute of the day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a good one.
Yeah.
We talked about
You got fired up. You got fired up.
I did. I knew when we talked about this, I knew I was going to get fired up. But hey, listen, sometimes I get a little fired up about specific topics and wealth and gender disparities. It gets me all fired up. Anyway, let us know what you're fired up about. Go ahead and put it in the comments below. Also, let us know what your favorite part of this episode was. Go ahead and put it in the comments below. You know we love seeing your comments and we love talking back with you. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time. Bye.
See you next week.